Hero Club presents Los Ingobernables de Tokusatsu.
Welcome to Los Ingobernables de Tokusatsu, episode 79. I'm your host, Wheelchair21, and joining me tonight is none other than the fourth member of the podcast. It is SoundOut12.
I exist again.
Well, you exist
Here I am.
practically every week, though. You exist practically every week here.
I don't know. I don't remember the last 4 weeks of my life.
That's a lie, and we both know it.
You know, you might say that. Let me ask you the question.
All right.
What are we doing here?
The podcast as usual, and you know this. That gas proves that you've just discovered the subtitles option on Skype, which are almost pretty accurate, with like a 97% chance of failing.
Yeah, and they also even got my
failing,
Yo, which is like always horribly butchered by subtitles.
Yeah, no, that was weird. Yeah, so anyone who's wondering, yes, there's a subtitles feature now on Skype, and it's pretty funny because, like, I would say it's a 97% chance of accuracy because SoundOut was saying Heroes of the Grid the first time it came out as Heroes of the Great. When he said it the second time, the subtitles actually stated Heroes of the Grid. It was actually pretty interesting. We were just fooling around with that. So that might be a possible just joking episode of the podcast where, as we're doing the show, you can see the subtitles as we go along. That means it would be hilarious.
That would be hilarious, and I totally want to do that now.
Oh yeah, it would, because every time we would be saying shows like Tokuma Sentai Go Busters, Shuden Sentai Kyuranger, it would not be able to follow along. It probably would say incoherent bullshit.
Maybe not those exact words, but something similar.
Yeah, that's pretty true. So this week, actually, I don't think there's any real news, really. Like, we had some Figure Arts news, but me and SoundOut, when it comes to P Bandai... I mean, when it comes to P Bandai, it's like, you have the Zangetsu that was unveiled for the stage show, which was the Kachidoki arms, but not much other information. You have the Omagio. Like, the sad part is we're not actually enthusiastic about it this time around, I feel like. Are we? Not really?
I just don't care anymore. I
know,
got Voltrons to buy, man.
Like, it's weird. Like, when there's Tokusatsu news, I'm usually, like, hey, let's do it. But this time it's just like, it's a couple of Figure Arts. Yay, while I still love Figure Arts. It's like...
I'm quitting Figure Arts after Kiva because I got friggin' Voltrons to buy.
Me, I just am into Ultraman Figure Arts. I'll still buy some Rider Figure Arts, but
I can't buy any Riders if I'm gonna get my Voltrons.
Exactly, and I'm not really desperately needing the Voltron since I'm like, I'll just wait for the Super Mini Plot Dairuger 15 if we actually get a Super Mini Plot Dairuger 15.
You probably will if it sells well.
I don't know. I doubt it. I mean, it should sell well just in the States alone because of Voltron, because, like, it's an SOC and we get, like, a shorter stock than we do in Japan.
Yeah.
Like,
it's funny because, like, you think Solo Chigoken Daijujin on its reissue would be, like, hard to get or something because it was really popular the first time around, but I think they made enough of them because pre-order's not selling out in America or Japan. While I'm looking over here at the Go Lion pre-orders sold out in like 5 minutes at Amiyami, and they were gone within like 3 hours at Big Bad Toy Store.
Yeah, so I think Go Lion has some resurgence of popularity. Because even in Japan, I've heard it wasn't too loved. But
I think the only reason why it is because Soul Chigoken collectors were like, oh, I don't know if I care about Go Lion, but then they look at the fact it's tripled on the aftermarket, like the price is tripled on the aftermarket, and they're probably like, you know what, I think I'll get it this time around. Because, like, I think even if you don't like Go Lion, it's a really good figure. It's a good super robot, so I don't know, it's kind of strange, but...
Yeah, I know, and even though we're off course, we were just trying to talk about the fact that there seemingly isn't a lot of news lately. It's kind of a slow time right now, especially due to the fact that one Geo is still, the current airing Rider. There's no real big news coming out. There's no catalog leaks. There's no
Ryu
official
Soldier
streams.
Hasn't started yet.
Yeah, Ryu Soldier hasn't really started yet, so there's not even Televi-kun magazine stuff. That our lit list is just us going right into our main movie discussion, which is the March movie Madness, or March Metal Hero Madness, with us looking at the next-gen duology for Sharivan and Shaider for our legit reviews, in a sense. We're just talking about those two, what are they, like an hour-long movies? Each of them were about 48.
They're about an hour each. I was watching them together.
I usually just watch them together because it's like, it's an easy, like, feature-length film all in one, since the major subplot of each film is your actual over-encompassing plot, while the films themselves have two different, like, narratives and stories about them. It's kind of a weird story where the anthology or this duology is that the subplot is the real arc they're both striding to complete, but concurrently. There's like another plot and mission that they're all on. It's just an interesting take, I think, with that idea of our story overall and that aesthetic of the theme. So since there isn't other news, we're just going to go right into that, and then if we're a little short for time, we'll find, filler fodder to discuss and talk about.
I'll just start talking about Go Lion again. How about that?
No, we're not doing another tangent on animus.
I don't know. Let's just talk about the shiny Super Sentai guys.
Yes, the shiny super... Okay, Tokusatsu casual, your name's not Brian. Get out of here. Go back to being Michael the Sound Out.
You mean the guy that knows every random obscure toku?
You don't know all of the random obscure...
I don't know all of them, but I focus on them very heavily.
Sure you do. He doesn't.
Like, you haven't watched Uchu Sentai Kyuranger. I have.
I don't plan to watch that one.
Don't do it. It's not worth it.
It's like, I don't really plan to watch the original Zaborger, but I kind of want to, but I kind of don't want to.
And I kind of don't know what you're talking about.
Exactly, but Darkon does. Exactly. Darkon does, which is the more sad part here. If Darkon was here, he'd kill himself. Wait, what?
Fight me during the Gundam cast.
Okay, I will. Gundam fight ready? Go! Anyways, so like we said, it's Metal Hero Madness, or March Metal Hero Madness. It's at that thing where people are like, we have to have a theme in March kind of thing. People do that. I used to have a theme like that for November. I don't know why November. I just thought it was cool to have Mecha and Gundam.
Because you gotta celebrate No Nut November?
No. I still don't understand the concept with that one. I don't
know what it's for. I see people do it, and I'm like, why are you doing this to yourself?
I don't understand. It's really weird. I don't get it. I'm not sure why it even started in the first place. It's weird.
Side tangent. I need more money for Soul Gigokins.
We're not going back to the Animu stuff. We gotta
ones
get on
beyond
the
the Voltrons. I really want
not...
other ones. Hey, Battle Fever Robo's related.
Get out of here. We're going back.
Where's the rest of our mecha? Showa Mecha Soul Gigokins.
Screw you.
They're not hard to engineer. They're not complicated.
We're doing this. We're doing the March Metal Heroes. We're not doing Showa Mecha.
Okay. Why haven't they made Shaider's robot a Soul Gigokin?
Shut up.
Even though I have the original.
We're not doing this. We're
I
not
just
doing
can't transform the original because the joints got stuck, and I'm afraid it'll break.
God damn it.
It got stuck in robot mode at least. That's the good part.
It would have been hilarious if it got stuck only in the gun mode. Now that would have been funny.
Well, what's that? Oh, it's a gun robot. Can you transform it? No, it's stuck as a gun.
It's stuck as a gun. It's also a spaceship. Can I at least see that? No, it's stuck as a gun.
Stuck.
Alright, so now we're doing the actual movie reviews. So, the weird part about this is, the best way is, after the initial hype of the Gavin film, they were like, well, we technically got these actors to come back another time in Superhero Taisen Z, why don't we give them, a feature-length film? And then Toei was like...
Actually, I think it came down to, hey, Geki Violet and Kamen Rider Birth, how about you appear in our crappy crossover movie, and we'll give you your own movies after?
It was kind of like they already had them signed to, I think, movie deals or reoccurring contracts.
I think it was a movie contract.
Yeah, it was like either a movie contract or a reoccurring thing. I do believe that originally, they were supposed to have actual real full-length film, or they were both going to have a film together on their own little standalone thing, but I feel like Toei at the time was like, well, we have this thing called V Cinema, so why don't we just do it as that? And I think that's what led
before they were theatrically released.
Yeah, so I think before they became retitled the V Cinex, I think they just came up with the concept of, I don't think Sharivan or Shaider could actually sell on their own as full-length feature films, like a full, 120. So I think they were like, we'll just do 48, 60-minute films, and we'll release them on home video. It actually paid off a lot better because they were able to plot it out, and as I stated minutes ago, they're able to pace it out as having two different stories actually interconnected with each other with their various subplots. So I think that was a bit of a better establishing stepping point. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to at least, even though we watch these films, in a sense, usually together as a whole, we're going to at least tackle it in the order of events. So we'll talk about Sharivan first, and then we'll, approach Shaider, just so we don't get events kind of mumbled and jumbled up too much, if you're fine with that, Sound Out.
Works with me.
Alright, so the Sharivan film picks up with, right away, Geki on his current patrol, Gavin, and he's kind of stumbling upon that somehow Maku, Neo Mado, they're trying to come back up. the thing is, Geki finds out something's going on, so he goes and he sees Commissioner Gordon, which is ironic that, he's called Commissioner Gordon. His name's Nicholas Gordon, and he's played by none other than God Nero from Metalder. Yes, the person playing this character is Shinji Toda, who is known for being God Nero's human form is Nicholas Gordon. And he states that, it's kind of weird that this occurrence is going on, that these organizations are reappearing now in this day and age after there's been a form of peace and prosperity, that he's going to at least send off the current Sharivan, Kai Hyuga, off to investigate what's going on with the Neomado organization and figure out what's going on, while Scheider's on a special mission that he can't talk to anyone about right now. Like, we don't know what's going on, but we know it might be connected to this case, or it's a whole different case, because,
or it's just keeping him out of the movie because of the Sharavans.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, they at least, in a sense, by storytelling-wise, make you unsure what's going on, even though you know these films are supposed to be connected. In this case, though, you find out that Kai's also not just being reassigned to this mission, he's also being partnered with his former best friend, or at least a best friend that he's seen in a long time, Seiji, who is a new space sheriff known as Esteban, who's just the bootleg Gavin suit painted up nice and gold, and they're working together to bring down Neomado. And they kind of find out that Neomado is trying to do this big-time, not just drug deal and drug operation, they're actually trying to, in a sense, mass-market dimensional space drives, so all of the beasts that were originally under the organizations can be powered up and become practically super soldiers, using also the drug Hyper M. And in this plot, you also find out that there's a mole amongst the space sheriffs sent down to investigate Neomado. Weirdly enough, Seiji, Esteban's partner, Elena, is obviously put out as your red herring, as possibly being the mole, but it's actually Seiji himself, and it leads to crazy antics of finding out that the mole in the actual evil organization that's been helping the space sheriffs know what's going on actually is a former space sheriff who undergone a huge dramatic prosthetic change. He literally had his genetics altered, which could end up one day actually killing him to become a freaking guardian beast, one of these actual kaiju-like aliens, who's played by Alba Ranger's Abare Blue. So Sho Tamiya is playing this guard beast called Genser, who is a former space sheriff who went through this thing to do a huge sting operation, and his partner was Elena, and they figured out that it was Seiji who was obviously the bad guy. And so it leads to this huge thing of them confronting General Geiger, who's played by Koichiro Nishi, who is Abare Red, which is ironic that the Alba Rangers are a part of this film, as technically bad guys. And he's actually you find out, mind-controlled when the drug bust actually goes down, and it leads to Kai having to fight his friend Seiji. And you find out the reason why Seiji kind of went evil was because he misinterpreted a message or a old proverb he misunderstood from their old sensei and master, which is none other than Den Iga, the original Sharivan. They were both being his proteges to one day become the next Sharivan. But weirdly enough, when it came down to it, Sharivan chose Kai over Seiji, even though Kai himself was missing the element that he taught them in one of his final teachings with them during a hostage negotiation that they encountered early on in their lives. So a lot of this is all about, you see the two sides of the coin of what leads to becoming a good space sheriff and what leads to becoming a bad space sheriff, as the two fight to the death, and then, obviously Sharivan walks out as the hero. And then once being the hero and realizing you can't always be a guy by the books for these decisions, that's his big lesson of what really Den was trying to teach him. He then ends up running into Den Iga and him going, "Yo, I heard you finally got the message right. It's too bad what happened to Seiji, though, but hopefully this will help us with our new case that's arisen, and I hope you can go out and help Geki and Shaider figure out what's going on and why all these groups are reoccurring." And I think, for a 48-minute film or an hour film, it actually gets that story of the two sides of the coin, of being proteges, on what it means to be a cop, what it means to be a space sheriff, because that's also a message we learn at the end when we find out Elena actually has recovered from the hospital, and she's also kind of reflecting on her partner Genser and what it means to be a sheriff. So, did I miss anything when it comes to the story, or did I hit most of it?
I think you got everything. There's nothing I can think of, really. I think that one aspect of the movie, the largest plot element in the film, is making sure the blood is a character.
Yeah, for some
Good
reason.
Good Lord, Koichi.
Weird thing.
There was so much blood in this movie, it's kind of disgusting.
Looking back at it, it's not done in the proper way. it looks really like a Tokyo Shock film, or at least a movie that was distributed by Tokyo Shock, you know? It's not done aesthetically right because the blood is very anime-like, spewing everywhere. It kind of reminds me of some of the elements of Kamen Rider Amazons, or Amazon in a bad way, where it's like it's just too unrealistic of how the blood comes out, but it adds to that idea of that, you know, Kamen Riders is supposed to be like an adaptation of a manga that never really existed, per se, since it's a loose ambiguity of being, you know, Skullman just changed for dramatic purposes, so it doesn't tarnish the character's legacy.
Right.
Like, I do like the blood, but I don't think it really helps or hurts the film.
I think for me, it makes it hard to rewatch, because on top of, like, the blood itself, a lot of the scenes are really kind of cruel in the action sequences. Like, there's a scene where, like, you know, Sharivan is bleeding everywhere, and then Esteban's just, like, there kicking him for, like, 5 minutes, and it's like, alright, this is just getting torturous, and it's not really that fun to watch anymore.
I think that's, like, the better part, though, about it was, like, it was trying to add a bit of realistic shit to it, but I think because they made the graphic side to it not feel realistically graphic, but also trying to be it, it has this weird thing where it's not adding right, because it tries to be a serious cop drama and not be a serious cop drama that's also tokusatsu, and it's like, it's mixing too many elements. It's like, it's trying to be, what do you call it, like a crock pot, you know? It's trying to pull all these things together and make a nice stew.
It's trying to be everything at once.
Yeah, it's trying to be a little bit too much of everything at once. Like, I do think, though, the battles were really well choreographed, though, because of adding that realistic vibe of, you know, getting your ass kicked, that vibe of just the urge to win and whatnot. The whole original drug bust when they're fighting without suits. Like, there's a lot of great action, really, there is, especially when you look at all these actors who have actual background talent with, you know, stunt work and stage work as doing, you know, fights and choreography. Like, at least Koichi got, like, a bunch of actors with Toei that already had the requirements to make it feel like it's, you know, a Showa or early Heisei production of doing action without requiring so many stops, cuts, and replacements of stunt actors. One thing I want to talk, though, about is actually the way that they were able to incorporate, I want to say, like, Den Iga into this plot, because without seeing a lot of Sharivan, and only seeing him for the 3 episodes he appears in, Gavin, like, it leaves you open as to what his character really was in the original series, but I feel like they approach it as, if you've never seen it, this is what he most likely had to have matured in by the time the show ended. Like, I feel like this is him being finally a full, competent space sheriff, especially with the degree of what he was doing with the hostage negotiation in the film, when he actually confronts them by saying, yo, you almost effed up, caused all these people to die, you almost got yourselves killed kind of scenario. Like, I think they did it justice, especially due to the fact that when he's there, he actually does briefly turn into Sharivan, but they don't make it as big of a deal, I feel like, as, you know, Kenji Oba turning into Gavin during the Gavin film. Like, it's one of those things where I think it works a lot better because, like, how I know Deniga's actor as Spielban, I feel like it actually fits the actor more of Hoshi Watari. Like, I feel like that more debonair, cool, suave, kind of realistic thing felt more heir apparent with the actor than, you know, them going, hey, we need you to do this whole flashy transformation sequence. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like it fits with him seeing his other filmography after Spielban, where he's very suave and debonair, compared to Kenji Oba, who's always very flashy when he shows up again in shows.
Yeah, Kenji Oba is just wild.
I think one of the things about Kenji Oba is that he seems to be a kid at heart, even though he shows to be a serious man in real life. I think it's one of those things that he has two sides to him, that he's a kid. It feels like he's a kid at heart and mind. But I feel like he also knows he has to act like suave, debonair, like, you know, samurai kind of, Ronin kind of person, you know what I'm saying? Because, like, when I've seen him at times, when he's talked to Mr. S or other interviews that show up on YouTube, it's like he knows how to, I guess, play two different sides of having to be that old professional man, but still wanting to be out there doing stunts and being, you know, a role model. Whereas Hoshi Watari is, like, more like, I'm an actor, I'm cool in that, and I still want to at least show people that I'm still in touch with my roots. But Oba's like, I never left. Woo! Backflips.
Backflips. Always backflips. Never anything but backflips.
But, like, that's one thing. One thing, though, that I was talking to you about in pre-production is the fact that in these films, Misaki Momose, who plays Sissy, Hyuga's sidekick, his, like, you know, his secretary and his partner, she doesn't do any fighting in this film. But even though she is a gravure model and actress, she is a practitioner of karate and a few other martial arts. But yet, in this film, she barely does any stunts, nor in any future appearances does Sissy herself ever really seemingly fight. Whereas all of the other women in these films have some either background in martial arts or have had roles in very active tokusatsus where they needed to look like they could play the part of fighting. Never fight. But she's one of the few that doesn't get to fight, which is ironic, seeing that her debut tokusatsu, if I recall, was the Kyuranger movie. Like, me and Soundout were joking about this earlier when I said, when I looked up her filmography, I was like, who's this Luminia? And I'm like, oh, it's Death Ryuger's Maiden of the White, whereas Malika was the Maiden in Black.
Right.
Like, don't you find that just a little weird, though? Like knowing her, supposed professional background, she does karate, but doesn't do any fighting in any of the tokusatsus outside of her debut.
Yep.
I thought you could have add more to this, because I find that just ironic, personally.
It really is ironic. Like, it's one of those connections that you get when you look into the history of stuff, and that's always super fun.
It's like, I'm looking up Emi Kobayashi, and I think she's done tokusatsu. I just don't remember what other ones she's done. So overall, with the Sharivan movie, as you made the joke, yeah, the blood is obviously a character. Bootleg Gavin is now another character. I really want to know, though, like, did they really have to paint that, or did they just reuse the mold? Because, like, I don't feel like you could just put paint over that and drastically change its reflective appearance. Like,
I think they just used the mold, because I don't know why it would be any different, honestly. It's just like, use the mold, that's pretty much all they had to do. Because you think about it, it's like both have to be chromed out, and it's like, maybe they just stripped the chrome, but I feel like recasting it would have probably been less expensive.
I know that's not all chrome, because I know it's like foam and stuff, so like, is it easier to, like, can they just easily paint over this stuff? Because I don't know how it all works. So, like, I know how suits are made and like what you use to cast them. So I'm just wondering, is it like a simple paint job for suits then? Or is it a little rougher because of the materials used? That's one thing that I've always questioned. Like, I haven't really gone further to ask other people how it works, but
I'm just going to go to Japan and get a job at costuming for Toei.
Yeah.
Because that's easy, right?
That's kind of a hard thing.
Yeah.
All right, so pretty much with the Sharivan movie wrapped up, I don't recall how many, like, plot threads were left, like, open outside of the fact is, who is Horror Girl, the one that's masterminding all of this stuff. Like, I feel like, necessarily, the main plot is quenched right now. We know what's going on. And then it's just, like, the what if of...
But that bird head, yo.
Like, that's the thing. I think mostly it's just who is Horror Girl, and that leads us to the next movie in the duology, which is, obviously, the Shaider film. The Shaider film opens up with, obviously... I keep saying Date, but I'm pretty sure his name's not Date. That was Birth. His name is
Hiroaki Iwanaga and his abs.
Yeah, no, stop that.
No, sorry. Hiroaki Iwanaga's abs wearing him.
Shu Kurosama. Shut up.
Don't say that the movie isn't framed with that thinking.
No, it is framed with, hey, here's Hiroaki Iwanaga's abs. There you go. Enjoy. Enjoy them, ladies. Enjoy them, men. Just enjoy. Lust for those abs. If you're a man,
I'm pretty sure they marketed the
woman,
movie off of his abs.
Well, knowing how high allegedly the female crowd for tokusatsu fans are in Japan just for the actors for being sexy, I believe it.
I believe it too.
Okay, so anyways, Shu Kurosama, Next Gen Shaider, is given a mission to go and locate a kidnapped daughter that has been, taken hostage. Weirdly enough, when he goes to get this kidnapped daughter, his partner, who is easily a very overtly jealous partner who's obviously in love with him, to reflect other, space sheriffs and their sidekicks, is, like, just always thinking he's two-timing her, and almost blows his mission when he almost does the deal to, get the girl back by, practically... The best way to explain it is she's kidnapped, and then it's like a setup as, oh, this guy's a black market dealer selling women, so he goes to try to rescue her that way, which then leads to an all-out chase with the monster, with the girl, in front of, obviously, Akira Kushida, who owns the restaurant where the beat-up is supposed to be. This leads to some pretty interesting things where, as he's trying to fight the monster and try to explain what he's actually doing in front of Tammy opens up the bag thinking he's actually going through with the deal to buy a mail-order bride, who is this schoolgirl that's tied up and gagged inside of a luggage bag, which is kind of funny because the girl they rescue is played by freaking Katsumi Yamama, or Yamama. I always screw up her name because...
Katsumi your mama.
Yeah, I always screw up her name because it makes me want to say your mom jokes at the end and I apologize. No, it's Yamaya. That's why I think Yamama, who is obviously known as the Momo Ninja from Nin Ninja. She's been in other tokusatsu. She's been in several J-dramas. She's getting quite known, especially in North America, due to the fact a lot of the J-dramas she's in have been licensed by Crunchyroll and Netflix. But I digress. She ends up being the schoolgirl that they rescue. And they're like, wait, what are you doing here? And immediately, Shiro Kurosama kind of realizes that something's slightly up with this girl, because he seemingly, I think, immediately recognizes her as Commissioner Gordon's daughter, wondering, wait, why is his daughter
Yep, she's
missing?
Barbara Gordon.
Shut up.
Never.
Alright, enough with that Barbara Gordon joke. Anyways, so freaking Shiro Kurosama figures out that this chick is like a dead ringer for Gordon's daughter, contacts them, and right away they kind of figure out that something's amiss, because Gordon even says, oh yeah, just bring back my daughter Hilda, and it'll be fine. We'll figure out where the actual girl you're looking for is. Like, he kind of like works around it. At the same time, Geki and Kai kind of figure out something's fishy going on at the base, especially because Gordon's acting weird. The fact that, Shu found Hilda and stuff's going on. Yeah, they're trying to investigate. However, Gordon realizes they're onto him and he's onto them. So he sends his secretary, Elena, to stop them, who's played by Honoka. Yeah, Akiba Ranger fans know who I'm talking about. She goes to try to stop them right when they're trying to talk to Kojiro Yoyama, who is actually Gavin's friend from the original series, played by Masaki Yuki Suzuki. And what's really cool is that they brought this character back. I actually thought it was an entirely different actor portraying this character, and didn't put two and two together. Like, it slips my mind every time I see it, and I assumed it was actually a character or an actor that played a character in Spielbahn, but it's actually one of Gavin's old friends. And they find out that something fishy's going on. However, while Shu's trying to return the daughter, the monster, Bida Bida, actually, locks the two together using a, leech kind of, tying mechanism that he can spew out of his body to stick them together. And because of injuries that they may or may not have, and the fact that they can't now get the lock off, they have to go see a black market doctor, or not really a black market doctor, a doctor who's just willing to help anyone and everyone, who's none other than Annie, Dai Sawamura's former partner from Shaider. And that's played by prolific actress Naomi Morinaga, who is known for also being in Spielbahn and a few other tokusatsus and other Toei productions. And she tries to help them as best she can while she's looking at the monster yo, I could kick your ass, he can kick your ass, this little girl can kick your ass, don't try anything fishy. Meanwhile, Tammy, for being the psychotic bitch that she is, keeps showing up and going nuts and causing more problems to arise, especially when you find out that her alien race is a bunch of freaking druggers. They're just crazy. And when I mean druggers, I mean the old Norse crazy, mythos of they get super raged up, they become berserkers, and they just start destroying anything in their sight. And the only way that you can actually usually stop them is through affection. Hug, kiss, yada yada yada. So, Shu is forced to finally...
sexual love.
Deep sexual love. Exactly. He finally has to forcibly convince the Tammy that, yes, you're the only girl for me. I know you have advances for me, but I have to keep up this persona because it actually helps me get a lot of known information for us in sting operations and et cetera, and on the job, partners shouldn't be dating kind of persona. So it leads to this whole thing where they finally get together, they're finally happy, they beat the monster, and then they go and return Hilda to her father. At this point, Geki and Kai figure out something's fishy, especially when they realize that Hilda is nothing more than the new horror girl, and she has tricked her father into posing as one of the former minions of the groups, and pretty much has it that the plan is that she wants just to cause chaos, and because of it could backfire on her father, he's just playing along. And the thing that's kind of weird, though, is, a part of this part of the plot doesn't sort of make sense at all, that he was willing to pose as Priest Poe for this to help his daughter because his daughter's a psychotic bitch instead of just taking her to see a psychiatrist. He thought that would compromise his job. I guess this is a Japanese proverb of family don't know how to help their families, and if they try to do it, it'll always come back to allegedly bite them in the butts for their careers, that they kind of like tried to keep it a cover-up. And one of the reasons that Horror Girl, or Hilda Gordon, went bad was because she was jealous of her cousin, or best friend, who is played by, ironically, Hanoka, it's his secretary, Elena. And it's really weird, it's a confusing plot, and right when, she's like about to like destroy the HQ with her super Maku bomb, it opens up a weird dimension, and the spirit of the original Horror Girl shows up, tries to suck her soul out or eat her, and destroy the entire base herself appears. So that leads to all three of our next-gen space sheriffs teaming up, summoning their mechas, being played out to a new Akira Kushida theme, and saving her and defeating the soul of Horror Girl. And it just ends with then Shu and Tammy having another lover sparl and argument as usual. And that's literally your Scheider films. So, Sound Out, your thoughts on this overall film and production.
Last movie was also co-starring Blood. This movie was co-starring Abs.
Yeah, we opened on that. That's how we opened this conversation.
I can't get over how the fact that I think this is the tokusatsu with the most overtly advertised and sexual appearance of a male hero in a toku. This is like Marvel Cinematic Universe level of, what's the word? Exploitation? That doesn't sound right.
No, that's kind of right.
Gratuitous fan service.
That's accurate.
That's exactly what this movie is. Like, there was no reason for him to lose his shirt in the fight with Tammy. She just directly, explicitly rips it off.
And it doesn't add that since, Koichi Sakamoto is really heavily into legs, he has these weird ways of when he's trying to show leg shots that they're never even centered or framed, so they try to make you think it's a kick shot. But, it's really just him glorifying a woman's legs, thighs, ass.
And that's what I'm, surprised he went with this. But I guess, when you have Hiroaki Uenaga, I think during the audition, someone's like, lift up your shirt, and then they're like, all right, we know what you're using you for.
And literally the plan was Koichi was like, I got the men happy because we got ass shots, thigh shots, leg shots. All right, how do I keep the women in their seats? Hey, comrade of birth. My name's Hiroaki Iwaga. Yeah, comrade of birth. Or Shu. Yeah, mind showing your abs? No, I do not, sir. Take that shirt off. Damn right. And then all of a sudden it becomes like a Chip and Dale's fucking segment.
Essentially. And that was usually when they have shirtless scenes in Toku, it's like, oh hey, bandages is a big one, right?
Bandages, yeah.
Or even short fight, there's stuff in Die Ranger, but those relatively short segments. Kaku Ranger was relatively short segments. You'll have a beach episode. You'll have the Daigo scene from Kyoryuger where he rips the shirt apart and then transforms a minute and a half or a minute or so later. No, this was prolonged slow motion close ups. You can see the back pimple. And then he transforms after about 5 to 6 minutes of that.
One of the things that's drastically annoying about this film is, and this is going to sound weird, I know that this one's about, if you love someone to trust someone, that's kind of the moral of the story is, love and trust. But I feel like it was just too coy. The first one comes off being, a very serious about a cop drama, about trust, the belief in, who you are kind of thing. You can't judge a thing by numbers. You can't do this by this action alone. You gotta have, a certain blend of shit between the two and be willing to put your life on the line as a cop. This one is just sometimes your partner is your lover, and you gotta deal with it. And you gotta hope that they still love you at the end of the day. But we're gonna do it in a really zany J-drama-esque comedy show, rather than making it very serious about being an actual love triangle, or an actual, thing that is, oh no, your man's a thought, get over it, bitch, find a new man. No, we just deal with Tammy's crazy, Shu's crazy, they're made for each other, 'cause they're crazy! And it's funny, 'cause, when I first saw the films, I liked both of them about the same. I really enjoyed them evenly. And I think the fact is, when they made the Scheider film, I think they had a feeling that they knew what Scheider was. So that's why it's also crazy, is because all I hear from people who've seen Scheider is just, 5-man before 5-man. It's like a drug trip.
It really is. That Santa Claus episode.
The Santa Claus episode is, I think, the most iconic one, because it's been reposted to the internet so many times.
It really has. I even did, a riff of it years ago.
And we found it, and we've saved it.
This is true.
And if I recall, we've been given consent by one of the members there that was the co-owner or co-runner with you.
Yep. but it's still going to stay locked in the archives.
Until that day he finally says, put that fucker up, and then it'll be up.
Mm-hmm.
And we will allow it, because we're Hero Club, and we're not intolerant shits, except metal. Anyways, so, like, I do think with Shaider, a lot of the out-of-suit fights were alright. I think just the problem was Koichi being Koichi put too much of that sex appeal in there. I think that was probably what kind of annoys me, really.
It's very blatant sex appeal, too. Like, it is like, they are selling the movie on abs, which I think Marvel does as well, but I think
it's
specifically in this case, it's weird for Toku. I'm used to it with other stuff, but for Toku, it feels a little weird. Not gonna lie.
Like Tokusatsu, like, we do get sex appeal stuff, but usually it's
leather pants.
Well, no, I was gonna say it's usually, unfortunately, just the exploitation of your women actresses. And I think more around the time of, I want to say Shinkenger onward, they got more and more apparent with male actors over the years. Like, you've seen more shirtless scenes on and off again a lot with actors without bandages since, like, I think Shinkenger onwards.
You notice it's a Sentai thing and not a writer thing, right?
I don't think that it's just that, really.
Because Kamen Rider Gaim was like, super athlete, look at my abs on Instagram, but like in show, he was like wearing 3 layers of clothing all the time.
Wait, who are we talking about again?
Gaim.
Yeah, Gaim kind of was like that. He kind of was, honestly. But,
they like hit him. They're like, he can't look that good, he's a street kid.
Well, yeah, it was supposed to be like, he's supposed to be 16 or whatever in show. He can't be like, actually his actual age of like, what, 19 or 20?
Right.
Yeah, that was weird. That's still kind of weird when you think about it in the long run. I find that really puzzling, though. It is puzzling. It's very concerning. It makes you think.
I mean, Takaharu just had a shirtless scene in Psycho Battle that was really unnecessary and gratuitous. Also not that great because Takaharu is like a beanpole. No, that's an insult to beanpoles. Can't say twigs. That's insulting nature.
Yeah, no, it's weird. I do think, though, with Sentai, maybe the reason they can get away with Sentai is even though it's not very, what I'm trying to say is, unlike how Westerners wanted to start incorporating more races like Power Ranger does, I think the reason is because Sentai or even Metal Hero tries to be this co-gender, it's open gender show, and it tries to stay that way even though toys are heavily marketed towards boys. They notice an audience because of the more diverse women characters on the show being strong female leads. That's why
Rider is squarely focused at males.
Yeah. Like, I feel like they can get away with it, too, because it is for that ideal audience. Like, with Rider, I don't think they get that way as much, or try to get that way, because they also try to keep up that false impression of we're the more serious show, even though they're not.
Here's another thought for you. Think about how many shonen animes have shirtless characters that are just consistently shirtless. Even though they're mostly aimed at, a male audience, they get a female audience because of their characters.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a very weird take. I know this is a weird tangent, but yeah, it's I don't know, because it's the weird thing about sex appeal in Japan is like, almost like how everyone gets mad at international fans who like males who like games like DOA or like, old school, like Tomb Raider because of the more sex appeal adverts, where it's like, it's ironic how in the other side of the society, whether you're like Asian or others, they're like, oh no, we were completely cool with this gratuitous, sexualization of characters. But then like the more Western, the more, I guess you would say, white, it's like, oh,
hey,
no,
let's
that's
think
a
of it
bad
this
thing.
way. Here's another thought, just because I'm throwing this out there. Here's another thought. What about the fact that, I'm thinking about it and it's like, what if one of the reasons why they've increased the sex appeal is because they're trying to get that adult audience back? That I think
they're trying to re-intrigue teens and adults like they used to have in the 90s or whatever, or the old nostalgic crowd that grew up with it. I think that's also a thing, is like when you see like certain anniversary shows or certain movies like this, I think they need to try to do that false sense of nostalgia of what people remember the series as back in the day too, maybe?
I don't know, because also, like, I also noticed that there's not a lot of on-screen kisses in Toku. This movie has
that one is one of the only ones. And the thing that I really do hate, and this is a weird thing because of this, what I've heard from like supposedly like the Japanese version of like the FCC, is even when you see J-dramas directed towards teens or young adults, the kisses in there never feel fully natural. Like, if you see how the kiss is done between Shaider and Tammy, it just looks like two people are lightly touching their lips. It doesn't even feel like there's full contact of what you would see
One
in
of the
normal...
actors was married, and he didn't want to go through with it.
Yeah, it's like one of those things. It doesn't even look like a full contact thing like you would see like on a Western drama, like on a CW show or a film. You don't see actual lips touch. You don't even see like what's them trying to make it even look like, as the British would say, snogging, which is like, almost practically tonguing or just going there. Like they don't go in there like it's an actual real kiss. It's just like boom, like a weird peck in it. And I know that there's a weird sense of sexuality and sensuality and closeness that even a kiss is a very high level of affection. You know what I'm saying? Like, that it should be behind closed doors or in special places. But it's like very weird that in Tokusatsu and even in their dramas, it doesn't feel as strong as we see it here, whether in the West, Latin America, other countries. It seems very well kept. It doesn't look as real, right, Sound Out?
Yeah, it doesn't. Like, it doesn't feel... I think like the more connected relationships in Toku are the ones that don't have on-screen kisses, because then it's like the actors don't have to go through the most uncomfortable part of acting is, on-screen kisses. They're
usually the most uncomfortable things are usually the on-screen sex.
Yeah, but we'd never get on-screen sex in Toku. Oh wait, Garo. Then there's Garo.
You're like, Wheels, there's no on-screen. I'm like, shut the fuck up.
And then I remembered Gokai Silver and Garo.
I'm just sitting here like this little bitch. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is, like, when, Umiko had to kiss Tammy in episode 0, that fake kiss felt realer than this kiss, because it was her having to only go through with it to calm Tammy down. They're like, well, only a kiss will do it, right? And she's like, well, no one has the balls to do it then. And then everyone's just like, wow, Umiko. And like, the new commander's like, good on you. You saw what was wrong with the situation and you fixed it. And then there's Jasmine going, I am taking a photo of this. I'm posting this on Instagram. I am making fun of you. Ha 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 ha. Fuck you. You get what I'm saying? Like, Jasmine's all fighting it humorous, and everyone else is like, good on you, Umiko. You fixed the problem. And then, like, they're all, like, freaking out while Jasmine's sitting there being the creeper going, I'm a woman. I'm retired from being a cop, even though I was brought back to the force, even though she said she was leaving. You know what? Fuck 10 years after. It's confusing. Anyways, I don't know what else to say. The Shaider film, it's a fun film. It just feels a little weaker while having sexual tendencies and implied stuff.
At least Hiroaki Oganawa has some really nice abs.
I don't know why, but I'm pretty sure that this is going to be called Next Generation of Abs.
Might as well be.
Good.
Next Gener abs.
Anyways, I think we've talked well more than enough about this. Overall, like, last impressions, though, for the films overall with their subplots coming together. What's your overall thoughts on that, so we can wrap up for our film?
I think the subplot connections are probably the strongest part of these two movies. Where other things were lacking, that was the thing that actually, I think, held this all together.
I do think it held it together.
It's pretty awesome.
I do think it held it together, but I do think that Sharivan is still the stronger of the two, most definitely. I think you're only just turned off by the blood, but I think the story was way more compelling than what we got in our follow-up, which is kind of weird. You would think the crazy comedy show would have been the first one, then the serious one to end it all.
Yeah, definitely.
That's one of the weird things I do find about this. Overall, I think people should go out and check them out. Do you need to see Superhero Taisen Z before you watch this film?
Nope, that ain't canon.
No, it's not. It's not really canon. I don't even think it's canon at all. So you don't really
Superhero Taisen films are typically not canon.
Yeah, so you don't really necessarily need to watch this film. You can go right from Gavin the movie right into these two. Do you need to see the original Sharivan and Shaider? Not entirely much, because I don't know how much it contradicts the show, but because the actors themselves aren't...
lack of subs.
1, lack of subs, but 2, lack of availability, maybe even in Japan too, if we actually have Japanese audiences that speak English or know English listening in. But I don't think...
If you do, please comment and tell us.
Yeah, please comment how much of a difference there is, if there's any contradictions, because, with Deniga showing up and Annie showing up, I don't have much knowledge on them. I have knowledge of them as, playing Spielborn and Helen, because that was recently subbed, if you didn't know, but I have more reference points to that than them as Annie and Den, so overall... I think they did all right job. It's not like Gavin as much. I do think in other films we have a few more contradictions because they're dealing with the other Metal Heroes to make them canon in the Sentai universe and canon to the previous Metal Heroes. But we'll get to that eventually when we get to those films and those characters and heroes. Anyways, let's start wrapping this up now, Sound Out, with your usual outro and shenanigans.
So, follow me on the Holy Trinity of social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I am at SoundOut12. on all three. Also Sound Out 12 on YouTube, where I do reviews and stuff. I've been in a Gunpla mood, so there's not much Toku at the moment, but I will be posting some other stuff, including a review of the Lionfire Fortress Zord in the near future.
Alright, I am Wheelchair21 on Twitter and Facebook. Instagram, Nostalgia_Doyle. That's a story that I've mentioned several times on the show as to why it's Nostalgia_Doyle. However, you can go and check out my YouTube, which is the same as Twitter and Facebook, Wheelchair21. I just do reviews of Mini-Pla. On occasion, I do Ultraman figure arts, Kamen Rider figure arts. I'm really trying to convince myself to go back into Transformers, just because I'm really happy with the Siege line, the Studio Series. And I just want to do it because the way that Ultraman figure arts come out and Mini-Pla comes out, it's very sporadically, so it leaves my channel dead. So I need something to do to keep myself active as a hobby. And I don't really have other things yet, since the Power Ranger stuff is just slowly dropping and hasn't hit all stores in North America yet. So I can't do that yet either. Anyways, you'll find out what's coming out in the future whenever I get my hands on something or I get motivated to do stuff. And as for Hero Club, it's all in the outro. You should know by now. It's just Hero Club for life, practically everywhere and anywhere that we can promote ourselves. If we don't have one there, well then tell us and we'll make it. Or we'll try to. Or we'll think about it. And
because
we'll see you
we
all...
will do anything for your support.
Usually, just not anything, but, the sensical kind of anything. Anyways, we'll see you all next week with episode 80, which it will be us looking at, Uchu Sentai Kyuranger versus Space Squad, or is it Space Squad versus Uchu Sentai Kyuranger?
Uchu Sentai Kyuranger versus Space Squad, because one of those has a lesser role than the other.
Alright. And if you're wondering why we're not going right into the Space Squad films, we previously did that on an older episode. So just check our, review of that, and we might bring it back for a future March Metal Hero Madness. But until then, we'll see you next time.
Hey, it's Wheelchair21, and thanks again for listening to an all-new episode of Los Ingobernables de Tokusatsu. If you want to hear more content or see more content from the Hero Club YouTube channel, we're going to need you to subscribe, like, comment with some feedback, and share this channel with a friend. We also would like you to check out our website, hero-club.com, and follow us on various social media outlets just by looking up Hero Club for Life, as well as the stores you see are where we shop. Anyways, thanks again, and we'll see you all next time.